Hi everyone, welcome to another Terry Talk. Unless you've been living under a rock, just about a week ago on March 10th, a bank called Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. One of the biggest bank collapses in US history. Taken over by regulators, trying to get things sorted out. This has had a ripple effect, of course, through the economic world, as it were. The cause, well, lots of different potential reasons. I'm not a financial genius, but few factors do seem to be coming to the surface. Number one, over the last 8 to 12 months, the organization did not have a chief risk officer to assess its exposure to risk. That seems like something that could play a factor here. Low interest rates for the longest period of time. When you have low interest rates, there's not a whole lot of lending alternatives besides investing in very low yield, long-term government debt instruments, which is what Silicon Valley Bank did. Once the interest rates start to go up, of course, now you've got a mismatched asset, your low yield, long-term liabilities, or in this case, your investments in government debt instruments. And with interest rates going up, your depositors looking for higher returns. This is a mismatch. This is not a sustainable business model. As Carl Icahn, one of the investors in Silicon Valley Bank, he's already claimed that this interest rate hike world that we're in now is just going to expose some other banks. And of course, today, at the time of recording this, we see that First Republic Bank is in trouble, and Credit Suisse has also been in trouble. So this is not, this is probably a lot to do with the world economy, interest rate, high inflation, etc. I love the quote from Warren Buffett that was in an article. Sorry for the article. I don't remember the exact author, but I give you credit. This quote: "It's only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked." Higher interest rates are going to expose a lot of business follies. Third thing I'd argue is leadership. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here a few days before the whole thing went for a collapse. So we've got leadership, we've got financial mismanagement, and of course we have a bank run, all leading to the cause. However, as things go in our world today, this got turned into a battle about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ron DeSantis, the golden child coming for the Republican Party in the United States, said, this bank has been so concerned with DEI and in all kinds of stuff. I think the reality that really diverted the reality that really diverted them from focusing on their core mission. Really? Josh Hawley, one of the Republican representatives in the House. So these SVB guys spent all their time funding woke garbage like climate change solutions rather than actually banking. And now they want to hand out from taxpayers to save them, not to be outdone by Republican Andy Biggs, who also said it should have been wasting its resources on woke policies and DEI initiatives, and instead they should have been focused on actual financial mismanagement. The facts don't bear themselves out here. But let's put politics aside for a second. Even the Home Depot co-founder, Bernie Marcus, described the bank's collapse as being too focused on woke issues rather than core bank operations. His quote was, "These banks are badly run because everybody's focused on diversity and all of the woke issues and are not concentrated on the one thing they should be, which is shareholder returns." Which, okay, even if you buy that, and even if you buy this argument around wokeness and whatnot, this assumes, of course, that if you had a woke point of view, wouldn't that bring in those customers which would be shareholders that would get returned? Anyway, all too confusing for this guy. So George Serafeim, my bad, professor at Harvard Business University, said that the blaming the collapse on such initiatives reflects either complete lack of understanding of how banks work, or it's an intentional misattribution of the causality for the bank's failure. That's a direct quote. So how does this all wash out? Well, let's face it, SVB, their DEI, they were similar as pretty much everybody else in the banking industry. It was considered average around these core issues. In fact, a 2022 report suggests that 59% of banks throughout the United States had lending programs that were focused on minority-owned businesses, focusing on women's businesses, financing that might fit under the umbrella of ESG, which is another area that people point to as the sort of leading to the collapse of these banks. In Silicon Valley Bank reported about 8% of its assets would go to things like renewable energy and affordable housing, woke policies. Of the 30 largest banks in the United States, Silicon Valley was number 16 in terms of where it is, right in the middle in terms of things that people consider woke, again, whatever that means. And its commitment to to improving diversity was fairly typical, again, about average. So it's not like Silicon Valley Bank was this, out of control, woke DEI, ESG kind of an organization that led to its collapse. The evidence just doesn't bear that out. So this all brings to a couple of things. Number one is, can we get back to data and real causality here? And secondly, and this one's got me baffled. This one's going to generate some comments. What is DEI? What is ESG? And more importantly, what is woke? Most people can't define what woke is and not sure why it's bad or evil. What is it really? It means awake. Okay, it's the past tense of wake. So it's being aware of and actively attentive to important societal factors and issues, especially when it comes to racial and social injustice. And maybe if we take the term woke, meaning to be aware of what's going on around you, maybe Silicon Valley Bank might be around today had it actually been a little bit more aware of its surroundings and what was going on. So, hugely controversial, hugely provocative. I'm sure we'll get some comments on this one, but I'm going to be following this one up in next Terry Talk around DEI and where we need to go to next in celebrating this. A lot of controversy out there around this. I think you're going to see that there's some great reasons to be doing this and some other ideas. Stay tuned for that. We'll see you in the next Terry Talk again. Hit that subscribe button. Look forward to your comments, and we'll see you again soon.